Welcome to the Canadian National Exhibition 2025 edition. Welcome to our Birds of Prey show. I'm James. I'll be running the show here today. I represent a facility called the Canadian Raptor Conservancy. Our home base is right near Port Dover, Ontario. Of course, right along the beautiful north shore of Lake Erie. At our facility, we specialize just in birds of prey. This is part of our education, our outreach. My job is to educate you folks on what these birds are and how they fit into our natural, wonderful world. Right behind you there. Couple rules. Bird flies by, we just ask you don't reach out and touch it. Bird ventures into the audience, we just ask you to give a bird a big hug. Some of these guys look cute and cuddly, guarantee they're not called when they appear. As long as you fly by those rules, we'll have a good show. You guys want to meet the first bird? Yeah! The first bird won't mind this guy too much except for the noise, I don't think. And just a quick note, first bird's not from Canada. You folks go home tonight, this guy's standing in your backyard. He called you home from the CNE. This is the go to clinch, you're going to see this guy. So I'm going to go get him. And of course, this bird's from this continent though, just not from Canada. You got to go farther south, and you got to go all the way to the west coast to find this guy. Let me see if I can find him. Come on out here, big fella. This guy's name is Dowdy, and Dowdy is a species of hawk called a Harris hawk. And to find a Harris hawk on the wild, folks, you'd have to go all the way down to the deserts of the southwestern United States and Mexico. Places like Texas and Arizona, Southern California, and the deserts of Mexico would be the home base of this bird, beautiful hawk species, the Harris hawk. A couple things about the Harris hawk. First of all, only hawk on this entire planet that when they hunt together. This is a pack hunting bird. Just about every other bird or prey species on this planet are solitary hunters. This means they hunt by themselves. When you guys are driving the highways of Ontario, you almost always see that lone hawk sitting by him or herself. Sometimes you get mom and dad working together, but typically birds of prey are solitary. They protect the territory. This is the only one that works in a pack. And I'll tell you, it's just not a ragtag group of birds hanging out together. It's very well organized. Matter of fact, I'll tell you, it's a mom and dad, sisters, uncles and aunts, grandma and grandpa, all working together.
పైనుంచి ఫైటర్ జెట్ సౌండ్కి మేము కూర్చున్న ఇది దగ్గరెళ్ళిపోతుంది.
Now, working together as a group gives them the ability to capture much larger prey than one Harris hawk could possibly capture by him or herself. Folks, this bird weighs 680 grams, about a pound and a half, and they can take jackrabbits that are 10 times their own body weight by working as a team. And since they do work together, they do have leaders, just like a hockey team has a captain. You know, if you're a student at school, you have a teacher in the classroom leading the way. These guys are no different. So here's a question I have for you. Put up your hand in the audience if you think Dad is in charge of the pack. Who thinks Dad's the boss? Anybody for Dad? Oh, a couple hands up in the back there. Represent dads for sure. All right, put up your hand if you think Mom's in charge of the pack. Whoa, I think you folks understand the human condition too for sure. And it's no different than the Harris hawk condition. Folks, a couple things I've learned in life. Number one, never wrong a mother. Number two, Mom's always the boss. No different with Harris hawks. Females, by the way, have a distinct biological advantage. A female Harris hawk, she's 1/3 larger than her male counterpart. She's a bigger, stronger, faster bird, 100% in charge of the pack. Now, I mentioned this is a non-native to Ontario. I gave you sort of its range, but this bird is very familiar with Toronto. See the arches off in the distance, the white arches of BMO Field? The bird you're looking at is actually the official mascot for the Toronto FC. This exact bird. So he's going to do his 3 shows here today, cross the road, and be leading the team out in the field at 7:30 tonight for their home game against Montreal. Now, he didn't well, I'll tell you what, Maple Leaf Sports and Entertainment, who own the Toronto FC, they didn't call me up one day with an idea and say, hey, you know what, James? We need a hawk as a mascot. What do you think? Here's what happened. When they built BMO Field, they forgot to take into account they built a stadium on the waterfront. With the waterfront comes waterfront creatures like gulls. Gulls came into the stadium. French fries off of the patrons, and give it a solution. field, knock on the door and say, I want to meet Dowdy the Harrisock, they will not know what you're talking about. But if you went over there and knocked on the door and said, I want to meet the guardian of the field, that's his official name at BMO Field. Now, his name is Dowdy. Here's what happened. 3 Olympics ago, our bird did not have a name. We said, you know what? Whoever scores the first goal for Team Canada in the Olympics, in men's hockey, because they're watching the Olympics at the time, we're naming our bird after. A gentleman from London, Ontario by the name of Drew Doughty put the puck in the net, and this bird has actually had his name ever since. And I will tell you that Drew Doughty, the hockey player, oh yes, he knows who the Hawks named after himself. Pretty cool, I think. This guy, by the way, would love to be out here for the whole show. The problem is, he doesn't get along with our next bird so well. So we're going to put Dowdy away, and then we're going to move on. Do you guys want to say bye to Dowdy the Harrisock? Excellent. And if you're going to the game tonight, look for Dowdy. He normally parks himself right in front of the team as they're singing the national anthem. That's where you'll see him sitting there. So basically in front of the Canada flag. All right, before we move on to another bird, we're just going to talk for 1 minute, folks, about birds of prey. I want to make sure everybody in the audience knows what a bird of prey is. And then, of course, we will get our next bird out. And what I mean, birds of prey are quite unique. They have some characteristics that other birds don't have. So number 1 characteristic of a bird of prey, they have a hook on their beak. Number 2, all birds of prey have talons. Talons are essentially super sharp toenails. Number 3, all the birds of prey in the world eat meat. They feed off of other animals. What's the term for a meat eater? Carnivores. Yes, they're carnivores. They eat other animals. And I know some of you are thinking to yourself, I know there's somebody in the audience right now thinking to themselves, wait a minute here. I know some birds that eat meat, and they're not a bird of prey. If you have that thought, you are correct. And I'm going to get you folks to prove it to me. So I take you folks behind me. You ready? What does a robin float on the ground with its beak? Worm. Just like that. A robin eats a worm. Meat-eating bird, obviously not a bird of prey. How about you folks right here? Ontario's provincial bird called the loon. When it dives into a lake, what's it catching? Yeah, lots of birds eating fish, including the loon. Not birds of prey. Okay, you guys ready? Why does a woodpecker bang its head on a tree? It's not frustrated? No, bugs and grubs and all that stuff, for sure. So lots of birds eating meat, not birds of prey. Here's the difference. The robin, the loon, the woodpecker, and many more capture all the dinner with their beaks. Birds of prey are different. They use their feet. Their feet are their primary hunting weapons. They seize or grab their prey with their feet. Hook on their beak, a utensil. Allows them to tear food into smaller pieces so they can simply swallow it. Let's get a bird out now found in all 10 Canadian provinces in the bottom part of our 3 northern territories. This bird has a vast range in Canada. The only place you can't find it, extreme high Arctic. Otherwise, this bird is coast to coast on our land. All right, you ready, Jack? Let's get Jack out here to meet you folks. All right, here's Jack. Now, Jack here, I'll tell you what, personally, I like this bird's species name better in French than in English. So I'm going to give you 2 in French first. Anybody here speak French? Excellent, lots of, excellent. Anybody just learning French? If you're just learning French, never give it up. You'll never be Prime Minister without it. Aim high in life. Okay. In French, Grand Duke. And that basically means he is the Duke of his environment, king of his space, top member of his food chain. And in English, we call this bird a great horned owl, folks, for those beautiful ear tufts that stick up on top of his head. You'll see them when he's just sitting there. Great horned owls, do not underestimate this bird. Pound for pound, one of the strongest birds on our planet. When I'm talking pound for pound, I am speaking about his grip strength. That's what they catch their dinner with. That bird right there has about a 450 psi grip. And to understand how strong that is, his grip strength is 2.5 times stronger than my grip strength. So when he grabs onto things, wow, he has a powerful grip. And some of you are going, how can a bird generate that much strength for its size? You can't think of muscles. You got to think of hydraulics, how a tractor picks up a really big load. That's how they work. They have a 4-chambered heart pumping in their chest. That's their hydraulic pump. They have a vein and artery that feed the feet. That's where they get that grasping power from. Excellent hearing. Really good eyesight. And you're probably looking at his best feature right now. Look at the plumage. Look at the color of his look at the pattern of his feathers. He almost has perfect camouflage. You put him in a pine tree, birch tree, maple tree, he's designed to blend into his environment. The reason why he wants to blend in, the closer this bird can get to his dinner without seeing him, the better chance he has of catching it. That's why he wants to blend in so well to his natural world. Now, I will tell you that great horned owls, you're going to go, come on over here, Jack. There you go. Awesome. Great horned owls have a wide range of prey. and I'll give you a couple, maybe a short list on what they eat in Ontario. So we'll start off, they eat a lot of mice, and I know you folks are thinking that's reasonable. He could easily capture a mouse with all those tools. How about chipmunks and squirrels and rabbits and muskrats, snakes, lizards, ducks, geese, porcupines, groundhogs, snowshoe hare enter into this bird's diet in our province, but I haven't mentioned his favorite dinner yet. So I'm going to give you some hints. You ready? Hint number one. The great horned owl's favorite meal in Ontario is an animal that is black and white in color. Sometimes we smell it before we see it. That's a very convenient landing strip running right down the center of its back and down its tail. What's this bird's favorite meal? Yes, if you're a wild owl, you go up, catch, and consume a skunk. And I know your mother's probably all told you never to mess with a skunk. Absolutely true. How does he succeed where others fail? Check this out. This is pretty cool. That bird right there has no sense of smell. He took a blast from a skunk. What would happen to him? Nobody wouldn't give a hoot. That's my Chief Dad Owl joke of the day, by the way. All right. Hey, if you want to see this bird on television, for the kids in the audience, if you watch Wild Kratts, this bird's on an episode of Wild Kratts from 2023. If you have Netflix at home, this bird's on, let me see, he's on season 4 of Vikings as a character. He's on the series Polar on Netflix. He did a movie right here in Toronto called, called Neighbors, starring Blake Lively. And also did a movie called Queen of Bones. The Queen of Bones movie coming out. I just saw the trailer last week. So it should be on an app. I'm not sure which one. If it's going to be Apple TV or Netflix. One of those very, very shortly. Now, Jack here has a sister. His sister does exactly the same work. Anybody want to take a guess on what Jack's sister's name is? Yeah, that was good. I should have used that one. I didn't, though. Actually, his sister's name is Diane. And I like, a little bit different than the song, I like to say Jack and Diane are, of course, are living the Canadian dream. All right, and to me, this is a Canadian bird, ruggedly good-looking, found from coast to coast. And I will tell you, before Jack goes away, because he definitely doesn't get along with our next bird, before I do that, if you're in Newfoundland, the great horned owls are dark in color to match the black spruce forest. If you're in the prairie provinces, they're silver in color to match the aspen belts. And if you're in subarctic Canada, the great horned owls are whitish color to match the subarctic tundra. Their plumage is different depending on where you are in our land. Very adaptive bird to different conditions. All right, let's get Jack away, and then we are definitely going to move on to the next bird of the show. Thank you, sir. He's looking, waiting for dinner here. All right, let's get Jack away. All right, so next bird out. If you do any driving in Ontario, meaning if you have ever been on an Ontario roadway, you will know our next bird very well. And I really have to have my wits about me for this guy. Come on. This guy's fast, he's agile, and he's smart. I'm going to turn him backwards. You see that beautiful brick red tail? This is called a red-tailed hawk. This guy's name is Eric the Red. That's his given name, 13-year-old male. Folks, when you drive on the, there you go, right? When you drive on the QEW or the Gardner Expressway, the 404, the 401, this is that hawk you see sitting up on a lamppost, sitting on a tree, standing on a fence post, maybe standing on a bale of hay. Quite a common sight to see across our province. And a lot of people ask me, why are red tails such a prominent fixture along our highways? I'll tell you what, it's not by design, and it's not by accident. When we build a road, we put all the ingredients in place to help this bird out when he's hunting. Number one, we put a dark asphalt surface down the center. They don't care so much about the asphalt, but they do get some roadkill from it every once in a while, so that is one positive. Number two, when we build a road, we tend to put telephone poles along our roadways at an even pace. Those telephone poles give them a hunting platform. Now they have height advantage, so you can oversee their area and get speed when they drop off the top of them down to their prey on the ground. And then number three, the most important piece of the pie, we put grassy ditches on either sides of our roadways. Those grassy ditches have a smorgasbord of food for this bird to be had. If the ditch is dry in the summer, could be a snake or a mouse. If the ditch is a little wet, could even be something like a duck. These birds, the red-tailed hawks feed off of all those different animals. And I will tell you the red-tail, voice actor of the movies. Every time they put a bird of prey in a movie, unless it's an owl, every single bird of prey ends up with the call of a red-tailed hawk. So I'm going to give you this bird's call, see if you recognize it. I have actually, by the way, watched movies where I've seen, I've seen a vulture, I've seen a falcon, or I've seen an eagle fly across the screen, and do they not just belt out the call of a red-tailed hawk? I don't know why Hollywood does this every time, but they do. I'll give you the call. See if you recognize it. Very distinct. It goes like this. It goes. You folks ever heard that in a television show or a movie? That is the call of a red tail. No other species on this earth makes that exact call. Now, a few things. First of all, a bird's tail. If I was having a conversation with an ornithologist, another ornithologist, and an ornithologist is the person that studies birds. Ornithology is the study of birds. So ornithologist to ornithologist. Does anybody know the technical term in the audience for a bird's tail? Anybody? I don't see how. Okay, tell you what, I'll give you a hint. Let me see. The hint I'll give you is a wedding dress. What does a wedding dress have that a bird has? Train is right. Gold star behind me here. And remember, the train of a wedding dress was actually named after a bird's tail. That's where the term actually came from. And I will tell you, I grew up in the generation where I got to see Princess Di walk down the aisle. And she had a 60-foot train on her wedding dress right out the front door of the church. I distinctly remember as a kid remembering that a bird's tail is called a train. So, of course, which that piece of her wedding dress is named after a bird's tail. Him and I have a bit of a claim to fame. If you have ever watched the series Joe Pickett done by the Paramount Corporation about a Wyoming game warden, there is actually 25 episodes of the series filmed in Alberta, but at the same time, Paramount was filming Joe Pickett. They had Yellowstone going on at the same time. Our names are on the same daily paperwork as Kevin Costner, the actor. Now, I'm not going to say it's framed in my office, but it actually probably is. All right. And one last thing about the red-tail, folks. Interestingly enough, you can age this bird by his eye color. Older red-tail hawks get, darker his eyes. He had blue eyes when he was a baby. He now has a medium brown eye. He's a 13-year-old bird. By the time he's 30, he'll have dark chestnut eyes. Within a couple of years, you can estimate sort of the age of this species. Okay, let's get him away. Folks, what I'm going to do is I am going to actually just quickly change my glove. We're going to bring out Canada's largest bird of prey species. Now, there are two exceptionally large bird of prey species in Canada and in Ontario. These are both Ontario species. Number one, you can see one right here in Toronto. If you ever spend any time on the Toronto Islands or the river systems that flow into Lake Ontario that go through our city here, you have seen a bald eagle before, probably. Bald eagles, yes, September, October. If you're out on the islands, good time to see a migrating bald eagle. But the rivers here are very important because all of our rivers, the Humber, the Rouge, the Don, Tobico Creek, all have salmon runs. What's a bald eagle's favorite dinner? Yes, of course, salmon. So you could be hiking along the Humber and you look out across the river, there's a bald eagle sitting in the middle of the river eating a salmon. Simple as that. As long as you don't approach them too close, they don't care that you are there. They have their dinner. They're quite happy. I'm going to get my glove on, a little bit larger glove, as you notice, 5 layers of leather compared to 2, and another 10 centimeters of extra cup on this glove. This bird does range into northern Ontario, found right across the Badlands of Alberta, Saskatchewan, found through Europe, and also found through Asia. A very widespread bird, named in 144 worldwide languages, very much part of our social fabric, which I'll talk about in a few minutes. So if we were speaking to each other in French, the interpretation of this bird's name back to English would be royal eagle. If we're speaking Arabic, the translation back to English would be rock eagle. If we're speaking Mandarin, back to English, it would be golden eagle. And we call this bird a golden eagle. Name right here, folks. The back of his neck reflects a very beautiful golden color. Now, this is a powerful predator. Many of you have seen the YouTube video of a golden eagle in action. And this is a mama bird feeding her 2 babies. If you've ever seen the video clip of an eagle coming down a mountain pass, it puts on the brakes, grabs onto a mountain goat, and drags it right off the cliff. It free falls with that mountain goat into its nest a couple hundred meters below, feeds its 2 babies. That's a mom feeding her offspring, if you've seen bits and pieces of that clip. Very powerful, capable hunter. Now, socially, this bird is right within the fabric of our societies. This is the symbol of the Roman Empire, greatest symbol of that empire. This is the symbol of the Mongolian Empire, or still today in Mongolia. They use golden eagles for falconry. This is the bird on the German soccer uniform. This is the bird of the Highlands of Scotland, called the Scottish eagle, or the bird of the Highlands. In North America, the Cree Nation, with their beautiful ceremonial headdresses with all the eagle feathers. Those are all golden eagle feathers on their headdresses. Very beautiful sight to see. And one other place you can see the golden eagle, and I think this might be the coolest, Anybody ever seen the national flag of Mexico? Do you know on the Mexican flag there is a golden eagle? Here's how it got there. Check this out. The Aztec people, the indigenous folks of Mexico, they had a vision. Their vision was a golden eagle standing on a cactus, holding a rattlesnake in its opposite foot. They had a vision. That's where Mexico City sits today, the capital of their country. That's why there's a golden eagle on the Mexican flag. Now, have I told you folks how old this guy is? Again, okay. Sasquatch in April of this year turned 39 years old. Probably the obvious question of that is, how old does a golden eagle actually live? That's pretty long. 45 to 50. And he has really good health care, so it might be a couple more years than that. We'll see what happens. And there's something him and I have never done together. You know what we have never done together? We have never actually seen the Toronto Maple Leafs win a cup. And I will tell you, he is old enough to remember the Blue Jays winning twice. 3 times this year, maybe? We'll see what happens. You seen the Toronto FC win a few years ago? Oh no, yes, he remembers the Raptors win, and the Argos have won a few times in his lifespan. So, we've never seen the Leafs. We'll see what happens in the next, it's always next year, isn't it? We'll see what happens. Folks, we believe in the premise we protect what we know. I find if we know a little bit about something, we want to protect it more than something we know nothing about. Exactly why we do programming like this one. And if you're visiting Toronto today, thanks for coming to the capital of Ontario. And of course, thanks for coming to the CNE. And as my 96-year-old Etobicoke-born grandma would always say, welcome to the city of Toronto. Thanks for coming to the show today. I'm going to be over here at Sasquatch after the show. You're going to come up after and see this guy. And one last little bit of information. If you grew up in the 90s and you watched the series Zaboomafoo, this bird's on an episode of Zaboomafoo. All right, with Martin and Chris, of course.